Welcome back to the 17 News at Sunrise podcast, where we share your news on your schedule.
Working in the spirit of the Golden Empire, this is 17 News at Sunrise.
Good morning. It's 5 a.m. Most Californians are waking up this morning under tighter restrictions, but Kern County isn't one of them. We'll explain what a new reality looks like ahead.
New discoveries this morning after possible human remains were found in Lake Buena Vista. Now a link between a missing Los Angeles man 3 years ago and what was found in that lake.
And the powerful earthquake that struck Ridgecrest just over a year ago may be just the beginning. A new study suggests the big one is still ahead. Well, good morning. Thanks for joining us. I'm Nicole Gitsky in for Maddie Jansen alongside Taylor Schaub in for Alex Fisher. Now this morning it is relatively pleasant out there.
Yes, it is. This might be the only good time to be outside right now in Kern County as we send things over to Kevin for your morning forecast.
Well, Taylor, Nicole, it was a hot day yesterday once again. Our high was shy of the 108, but look at that. We hit 105 degrees. And the good news in all of this is there is a cool down coming for today. Let's take you over to the current conditions around Kern County and Bakersfield right now, sitting at 74 degrees. We've got a light north-northeast wind at 3 miles per hour right now. And as we take a look at the satellite and radar, nothing to show you. We're in the clear. No changes on that front as we go throughout the day. Our dog walk forecast, as you can see, we'll start out at 77, so nice, safe walking this morning. But as we progress throughout the afternoon, we'll want to make sure that our pups have plenty of shade and water because we will be back into the upper 90s. 59 in Tehachapi right now. We have a west wind at 8 miles per hour. And as we take a look at the wind forecast, those have started to die down this afternoon. Maybe a few gusts right around the Lost Hills area and out in the desert. But for the most part, there are no advisories around Kern County for today. Here's a look at the Tehachapi forecast for today, starting out in the 60s, and then we'll look at the mid-80s throughout the afternoon. I'll have much more in your forecast. That's coming up in just a little bit.
All right, many Californians are waking up this morning under new COVID-19 restrictions. Here in Kern County, many businesses closed elsewhere get to open their doors for the time being.
17's Ashley Zavala explains what's in store next for the state.
Governor Gov Newsom constantly compares California's reopening process to a dimmer and not a light switch. The governor announcing California as a whole is toggling back.
COVID-19 is not going away anytime soon until there is a vaccine and or an effective therapy.
Governor Gov Newsom announced Monday the entire state must shut down bars along with indoor operations at restaurants, wineries, family entertainment centers, museums, and movie theaters. The governor also said 30 counties on the state's COVID-19 watch list must move further and shut down indoor operations at gyms, houses of worship, non-essential offices, personal care salons, and indoor malls. Those counties representing 80% of California's population. The state's latest orders comes as hospital capacity dwindles in some counties across the state, while the overall positivity rate continues to rise, now at 7.4%. Hospitalizations increased 28% over the last 2 weeks.
The data suggests not everybody's practicing common sense.
Newsom's administration says these closures are indefinite and that reopening will depend on data. Reporting in Sacramento, Ashley Zavala, 17 News.
Now do an update on the number of coronavirus cases here in Kern County. Kern Public Health announced another 99 cases. One more person has died. We have now lost 98 people to COVID-19 in Kern County. We are seeing more people currently infected with the virus and recovering at home. The number is now over 2,100. Well, 137 are being treated at local hospitals. The state reports that there are 57 patients in intensive care units here. There are more than 13 million confirmed coronavirus cases worldwide, according to Johns Hopkins University. More than a quarter of that total is found here in the United States.
And that percentage is likely to keep rising. John Lawrence reports.
A surge in COVID-19 cases has some states taking action. Restrictions on indoor activities are reinstated in New Mexico, Oregon, and California.
The sectors that we're closing statewide, again, restaurants, wineries, movie theaters, family entertainment, zoos, museums, card rooms, and bars, to outdoor activities to the extent possible.
Most U.S. states are seeing new weekly cases rise, and health experts expect that trend to continue.
I don't see how this ends. These numbers will keep going up. We'll go way past 100,000 new cases a day.
Some of these new cases will be from the younger part of the population. Research published this week in the Journal of Adolescent Health says roughly a third of 18 to 25-year-olds are at risk of severe COVID-19.
You go into school, you're going to come in contact with more people. So even if they're transmitting at a lower rate than adults, it may get washed out or increased essentially because they have more contacts.
Amid the crisis, the Trump administration is pushing for schools to reopen this year. Some teachers and parents are concerned.
For the first time in my 17-year career, I'm scared. And I'm not scared because of curriculum. I'm not scared because of changes. I'm scared for my own safety and for my children's safety.
I'm John Lawrence reporting.
Now, there were 58,100 new cases reported in the U.S. on Monday, with 400 deaths. Now, that's according to Johns Hopkins University. Now to COVID-19 outbreaks around town. A local grocery store confirms 3 cases among its employees. The Vons at 5700 Stockdale Highway says the 3 employees are receiving medical care, adding they haven't worked at the store since July 9th. Vaughn says the store has been through enhanced cleaning, sanitizing, and disinfecting procedures since learning of the cases. The store remains open, and Vaughn says safety for customers and employees is their top priority.
2 Kern County churches remain closed, and they could stay that way for weeks. The parishes of St. Augustine's Catholic Church in Lamont and St. Thomas's Catholic Church in Arvin made the announcement Friday. Someone who attended services at both churches tested positive for the coronavirus. They say all scheduled events, including weddings, funerals, communions, and baptisms, are canceled. There will also be no live streams of Sunday Mass or worship. St. Augustine's Church said in a statement they will continue to keep the community informed as they get permission from the diocese to reopen.
Well, a Taft celebration has also fallen victim to the coronavirus. The Dorado Festival, which usually happens every 5 years, will now be pushed back to 2021. According to the Taft Midway driller, the COVID-19 pandemic and a slumping economy made it impossible to hold the 10-day event this October. Dorado Incorporated President Shannon Miller says it is important to do the celebration the right way. But there are still some events that may go on this fall, including the popular Whiskerino contest, where people show off their beards and mustaches. Miller hopes that something can be done virtually to showcase the variety of beards that people have been growing out since January.
Kern County is working to help local seniors who may be struggling financially due to the COVID-19 pandemic. The county teamed up with the Community Action Partnership of Kern for the Food to Door program. It gives seniors critical food supplies delivered directly to their home. The goal is to help seniors avoid getting infected with the virus by minimizing trips to the grocery store. Each person signed up for the program will get a 70-pound food box each month dropped off at their home. The program is being funded through the CARES Act. You can enroll by calling CAPK's 211 line. Welcome back. One person is dead this morning after a crash on Fairfax Road. That happened last night at about 8 or 9:30. BPD reports that a truck collided with an ATV. 2 people were on the ATV when the crash happened. BPD says that the ATV was not equipped with lights at the time of the crash. The driver of the ATV suffered minor injuries while the passenger died on the scene. The truck's driver was not hurt in the crash and is cooperating with the investigation. Drugs, alcohol, and speeding do not appear to be factors in this crash.
CHP is investigating another fatal crash that happened early Monday. It happened at 6:20 a.m. near the corner of Myrtle Avenue and DeGiorgio Road. The driver of a Chevy was attempting to turn left onto Myrtle Avenue. That's when a GMC Yukon was involved in a head-on collision with the Chevy. The driver of the Chevy was taken to Kern Medical Center and later died. No one else was hurt in the accident, and no arrests were made. An investigation is still ongoing.
New details this morning about human remains found over the weekend in Lake Buena Vista. Investigators pulled a car out of the water Monday afternoon with more human remains found inside. KCSO says swimmers found what they believe to be a human bone around 7 o'clock Sunday night. The car was found after they resumed the search Monday. While the remains have not been identified, KCSO says the vehicle is linked to someone who was reported missing 3 years ago in Los Angeles County. The coroner will release that person's name at a later date.
A person whose body was found inside a burning home in Bakersfield may not have been killed by the fire. The fire happened on A Street near the intersection of Chester Lane. It's unknown how that fire started, but the fire department called Bakersfield police to investigate after the body was found. Homicide detectives and arson investigators are now looking into the person's death. The person has not been identified yet. No arrests have been made. Anyone with information is urged to contact BPD at 327-7111. And arson investigators are looking into a fire that broke out Monday in downtown Bakersfield. Crews from the city and county were called shortly after 7 p.m. to a vacant home in the area of 23rd and P Streets. When they arrived, about half of the structure was engulfed in flames, and flames were shooting from the roof of the one-story building. Firefighters were able to put that fire out quickly. No one was injured.
The search continues this morning for a woman who disappeared last year. Jamie Enochs was last seen in November in the area of Garcia Avenue. BPD says she is possibly with Bobby Enochs at an unknown location. The department says she has no known medical issues. If you've seen her or may know where she is, call the police at 327-7111. And BPD needs your help in finding an at-risk missing man. This is 56-year-old Carol Jean Meeker. He was last seen early morning on July 4th on Bass Street near the intersection of Hosking Avenue and Stein Road. Meeker is a double amputee and is considered at risk with a medical condition. If you know where he is, call BPD.
Well, a new study suggests last year's powerful Ridgecrest earthquakes increased the chance of a large earthquake on the San Andreas Fault. The study says there is now a 2.3% chance of an earthquake of magnitude 7.5 or greater in the next 12 months, specifically on a section of the 160-mile-long Garlock Fault, which runs along the northern edge of the Mojave Desert. The study was published in the Bulletin of the Seismological Society of America. That increased likelihood, in turn, would cause there to be a 1.15% chance of a large earthquake on the San Andreas Fault in the next year. While the odds may seem small, it's a substantial jump from before last year's Ridgecrest earthquakes.
For all of our past coverage on the Ridgecrest earthquakes and last week's Return to Ridgecrest series, just head to kgat.com. We have a full web page with all of our reports in one place. And the local chapter of the Red Cross is hoping that you'll step up and volunteer for the community. They're hosting a virtual volunteer fair next week for those interested in becoming disaster relief responders. Eddie Zamora, Executive Director of the Kern County chapter, says the coronavirus pandemic will make it harder to deploy trained volunteers from around the country. So they're calling on people to get trained up right here at home. The Red Cross says it will put special protocols in place for COVID-19. The volunteer fair is next Wednesday, the 22nd at 4 p.m. To join, go to redcross.com/CCR volunteer fair. With the coronavirus spreading over much of the country, some states are starting to reverse course on reopening.
Our Washington correspondent Tracy Potts has that, plus what President Trump is saying about one of his top health advisors.
Reversing course. California and Oregon are the latest states to scale back. California is closing bars, restaurants, and most gyms and hair salons after a spike in new coronavirus cases. It's spreading in 41 states and the nation's capital, prompting this warning from the World Health Organization.
Too many countries are headed in the wrong direction. The virus remains public enemy number one.
Despite the Trump administration dangling cash incentives to states where schools reopen in person, some of the nation's largest districts, Atlanta, San Diego, and Los Angeles, will begin online.
The health and safety of all in the school community is not something we can compromise.
New York schools are in limbo. Florida is requiring in-person instruction despite a record surge, but Miami's school chief may not comply.
If the conditions on August 24th are what they are today, it would be very difficult for us to reopen schools.
Also in Washington, President Trump is downplaying a rift with top health advisor Dr. Anthony Fauci.
I find him to be a very nice person. I don't always agree with him.
Fauci's dire warnings,
we haven't even begun to see the end of it yet,
prompted the White House to hand out a list of his statements they're calling inaccurate. Some are out of context, others were accurate at the time before the virus exploded nationwide.
A recent poll shows 2/3 of Americans trust Dr. Fauci for information on the virus compared to 1/4 of Americans who trust President Trump. Tracy Potts, NBC News.
The 17 News at Sunrise podcast is a production of KGET and Nexstar Media Group. For more on all of the headlines in today's show, head to kget.com.